Brock the breeder, Brock the rock type trainer, Brock the first gym leader that's given me so many problems on this channel before. In the anime, he is a very close friend of Ash, but we're not going to give Ash the spotlight today. The question we're going to ask ourselves is, can I beat Pokemon Blue with Brock's team from the anime? We can only use Brock's team in the anime, and we can have to try and do this before level 50, which, considering we've got Onix, Geodude, Zubat, and Vulpix to work with, I don't know if that's going to be possible, because these are actually some really bad Pokemon. And there are going to be no evolutions in this run, because Brock never evolved any of his Pokemon in the first season of Kanto. So yeah, no Graveler, no Golbat, no Ninetales. Only these first stage evolutions. Frivy is going to be our rival for today. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the channel. Let's see how we do. First up, we need to go and pick up our first starter Pokemon. And of course, considering Brock started off with just 2 Pokemon before he caught more later, that's all we're going to pick up right at the start. We're going to go pick up our Geodude and we're going to go pick up our Onix. Which is going to be interesting because the very first trainer, of course, is going to be the imposter of Brock himself. And we're going to have the exact same Pokemon, so how's that even going to work? Well, Geodude starts off with Tackle, which you can't say. There's nothing wrong with Tackle. It's a good move to start off with. But our Onix is not going to have Bide, which actually would be really helpful. We only get that after beating the imposter. But we do have other moves we can work with, as it was with Onix right at the start. The initial battle is probably going to be a very long, drawn-out fight, and we just have to do what we can to try and get by. We probably are going to have to go right up to the level cap to make this possible, but we'll soon find out. Once we've delivered the package back to Oak, we can head off on our journey to go and become the Pokemon League champion. Because apparently our dad left when we were young, we had to look after our 7 siblings, and now we've got our own aspirations as he's returned. So we're going to take on the Pokemon League. And apparently become a Pokemon breeder. I always found that term kind of creepy. Anyway, now we've given Oak his package, we can then head back over to Viridian and pick up the Pokeballs that we actually need for this run. We can now catch our Onix, which apparently appears at level 2 in the grass here, so he is very, very young. I always found that it was very weird that Onix is this humongous snake Pokemon, this rock snake at like 28 feet, and yet its attack is abysmal. What it does get when he first starts off though is the move Screech, which is fantastic. And we decided to go against our rival just to the west of Viridian, just for a little bit more experience, because we'd gone against all the other trainers and we had nothing else to work with really. We need some levels to go against our imposter, because Rock against Rock is not going to be a good matchup, especially when all we have to work with are normal moves. It's going to be a very long drawn out fight. And you know what? The rival is just going to decimate us. We apparently really hate water, and the slightest touch of water is just going to take down this humongous rock snake. So how are we going to do this instead? Well, we're going to do a lot of switching. We need to get the defenses down on the Pokemon, so once Onix has got all the Screeches set up, we just try and tackle our way through with Geodude. It's got better attack if I'm being honest, so it's better to just let Onix fall, and then once it's got a few Screeches up, we just tackle with Geodude. And that's how we beat the rival at quite a low level. In Viridian Forest, we don't have to worry about any of the trains here whatsoever, even if we get poisoned, because they are so weak and bugs just can't do very much against the rock giants. Once we've put up a few Screeches, this is pretty much going to be a key strategy for us, especially with Onix. Get the Screeches up, tackle it down. And we'll even try against the junior trainer for betraying us and believing that this imposter is going to be the actual gym leader here. We Screech all of his Pokemon down with Onix, and then once we've got the Screeches up, we'll either use Tackle, or we'll switch into Geodude and use Tackle there. Now, I feel like this is very unfair going into the next fight because we don't have a defense curl, and that would actually help for a bit of stalling, but the best thing about using Screech against Geodude, we can lower defense by 2 stages instead of him increasing it by 1. So we can always outpace him in the amount of damage and defense that we can drop for him. And when we've done that, we can then whittle down his Geodude with our Geodude. And it's just a battle of the Geodudes trying to get the tackles in. And then it's Onix v Onix. We get our Screeches off, and then after that, we just try and headbutt it into the ground with tackle. But we are losing HP very fast and do take a loss, so we are going to need a few more levels to make this possible. We try and match his Geodude's level at level 12. We did this previously at level 10. But this time around, we stay in with Onix for a little bit longer. Get a couple of tackles off, keep decreasing his defenses whenever he uses more than one defense curl. And we get Geodude down a lot quicker. So, perfect scenario, really, but the Onix needs to stay in longer than the Geodude does right at the start. This is why we are not the imposter, because we know how to use our Pokemon a lot stronger. Now, we do get hit by one bite there, but you know what? Considering our defenses, the amount of damage we're actually doing on this Onix, it doesn't really matter all too much, so we're going to just keep screeching down when we can, avoiding bite, and using tackle until Onix inevitably falls. It's all we can do really until we can bring in the Geodude, and you can just see from the amount that we have screeched down how much the tackle is going to be doing there. And it's a matter of time before he falls. We get the win, and we take back over our gym. We pick up the bye TM, which you know actually will be quite helpful, and we go and pick up our next team member. Straight away in Mount Moon you can pick up Zubat, which, you know, it has its uses. It does have its use. Lance will be incredibly easy when you've got a Zubat, because with it being a poison type and a lot of his dragons have got psychic type moves, Zubat is the perfect Pokemon for this team to go against Lance. A little bat like that. It's weird to say, but yeah, Zubat is actually a great matchup for Lance. Moving through Mount Moon, of course, it's going to be a while before we get our next team member, so we need to deal with what we've got. We've learnt Rock Throw from Geodude, which would be perfect against flying type Pokemon, especially the rivals Pidgeotto. And Mega Punch is a decent move that you can pick up in Mount Moon as well. Once we beat the Super Nerd, we'll pick up the Helix Fossil, because praise be to Lord Helix, and we will move on to Cerulean City. Cerulean City is going to be a nightmare for us. It is full of water, and we have got two rock-type Pokemon to work with, meaning Little Zubat is also going to be heavily relied on in this town. Instead of going straight for Misty, we are going to go straight for the rival, because we need more levels to work with. And the Pidgeotto is now not a problem because Geodude has now got Rock Throw. The Abra is a free fight because it doesn't know any moves apart from Teleport. And next up is Rattata, who is not very well matched up against the Geodude. From there we can get right through to the Squirtle, which now scares our rock Pokemon and we need to go and switch. Bubble is doing tons of damage and Water Gun is pretty much a death sentence for us. So we need to switch into Zubat, we need to get it confused, and from there we will bite away at it until it falls. It's going to take quite a lot of bites and quite a lot of confusion hits, but it is possible to do this with us having quite a low level team. From there, you know what, while we're here I'm going to give Misty a try. If we can do it at a low level, that would be perfect, but we have to adhere to the level cap of 21. So we're going to go in with Mega Punches on the Geodude, but one Water Gun is a death sentence, as I said before. Meaning Zubat is going to be heavily relied upon, and we need to make sure it doesn't take too much damage. Leech Life can recover a little bit of HP, but it's just not enough, and Zubat also falls. Last up is Onix, who just cowers in the face of a bit of water. So, can we do this at a higher level, more close to the level cap? Because at level 21, Zubat does get Confuse Ray, which is a 100% accurate confusion inflicting move. Supersonic is just terrible. This is the reason why we wanted it at higher level. Once the Starmie hits Self-Confusion, we've got an opening to actually get a Screech off. Meaning, if we can bring in our Geodude and use Self-Destruct. Yes, we got the Self-Destruct strats back in. we can get a win at level 21, meaning the level cap now goes to level 24, and we can head off towards Vermilion. I'm honestly so happy we could actually do that at the level cap, because it all came down to Zubat and Confuse Ray. As soon as we got that Screech off and self-destruct hit, the match was ours. Misty decides to use X-Defense way too much. On the SSN, we can pick up the TM for Body Slam. We picked up the TM for Dig against the Rocket Trainer before, and now we can head off towards the next rival fight. Very easy fight this. And the only reason that I'm scared about going against the rival now is just because our team is so weak to a little bit of water. Level 22, we're not having much problems against the Pidgeotto anymore. The Raticate against rock Pokemon, it just has no chance. Kadabra up next can do a lot of damage because we are not very specially defensive, I would say. And you can see straight away, Wartortle, as soon as Bubble comes out, Bubble nearly one-shots, and it's a 20 base power water move. That's how weak we are to water-type moves. But it's the reason we got Zubat, because it's going to be the only Pokemon on this team that can actually stand up to water-type moves. The last Pokemon that we will get, it will be Vulpix after we've come through Rock Tunnel. And it's a fire type, so yeah, we will not do well against water still. We beat the rival though, and we can move on to Lieutenant Surge. He is not going to be a problem for this team whatsoever. Onyx just laughs in the face of all these little rats that we can see in front of us. And even Raichu, he tries to use X-Speeds. We use Screech to get his defense down, but he just can't do anything against us because we resist electric type moves. If he had Body Slam, or he used Body Slam, he could actually do a bit of damage out, but Onyx just sweeps the team and gets Thunderbolt TM, which none of our Pokemon can actually learn, so it's kind of useless. That brings us to the Rapping Lass, and this one I'm also scared for because she has 4 grass type Pokemon, and our rock types have just realised that they also do not like the grass. A little blade of grass is going to just one-shot all of these if we can't take them out as quick as possible. There you go, one absorb from an Oddish nearly one-shot our Onyx. So what we're actually going to do is switch into Zubat, who has a Leech Life, which is 4 times effective on grass type Pokemon in this generation, because they messed up the coding, and Bug is super effective against poison and grass in this generation. It's the poison that's the issue there. That brings us to Rock Tunnel, and of course we have the Pokemaniacs, who have started to become quite an issue in a lot of my runs recently. And it's not for the fact that Cubone can do super effective damage on more than half our team. Well, when we get the Vulpix, it would be 3/4 of our team. The issue is the Slowpoke, who has Confusion. It's one-shots our Zubat, and we need to get the Screeches up on Onyx before it inevitably will fall to a lot of Confusions. We can use Body Slam to take it down quite quickly, and we actually do get a win. Next up, of course, is the Hiker, and we're not scared for this one. We've got Dig on Geodude, which can be really, really helpful with one-shots over Geodudes. And Graveler, even if it does use Self-Destruct, we're Rock-type Pokemon now, defenses are really high, meaning it probably would not one-shot us. We beat him pretty quickly, and we move through to Lavender Tower, where we can go against a rival, and I probably could go and pick up Vulpix straight away here, but no, I want to see if this team could continue its streak it was on right now. We need to get again, we're going for the Screech strats. Then we move into Growlithe, and we try Rock Throw because it's super effective against fire types. Because of all the sand attacks, we do miss a lot of hits, and thankfully all Growlithe does is just try and roar at us. Do the roar. That's exactly what comes to my mind whenever I see someone using that. It's just that little kid from Shrek 3 who shouts do the roar. And Execute comes out, Leech Life will do big damage on it. And then when the Kadabra comes out, we will Confuse Ray, hoping it does not go for a Confusion. But eventually it does, and Zubat goes down, leaving us with just our 2 rock types and a big water Pokemon in the back. Onyx goes down, and then Geodude is up next. We're probably going to lose this fight unless we get very, very lucky against this Wartortle. No, we're not, because Water Gun does tons of damage. So let's try this again. We do have quite a few more levels to work with, but it kind of came down to Onyx having very low accuracy in the very early part. So we're just going to try and take out the Pidgeotto as soon as possible. We do get sand attacked a lot there, And from here, as long as we can take out the Growlithe, we can then switch into the next Pokemon when Execute comes out. We'll try and get a few Screeches off beforehand, but all Execute's got at this point is Barrage and Hypnosis. So we can take quite a few more hits. If we can get the Screeches fully set up, it'll be a lot easier for Zubat to come in. And you can see me pondering there, like, do we stay in with Onix or do we go for Geodude? We go for Geodude at this point. And then we get put straight to sleep, which is very, very annoying. This is the whole reason I don't like Execute. Execute was a terrible Pokemon to solo run with when we did that before the month of RetroBrown. And you can just see here, Barrage is just being a nightmare. It's taken off quite a lot of HP regardless, and I decided, you know what, screw it, we're going to go for Self-Destruct. Just to take it out quickly. And I probably should have kept that for the next Pokemon, really. Bite is doing decent damage against Kadabra. We take it down with 2, and then we go into War Turtle with a full health Zubat. Once we get the confusion off, we're in the clear. We should really be fine now. We do take a few Tail Whips. It does a lot of damage in hindsight, but we still manage to get the win after Onix does wake up. He doesn't wake up. He took himself out of confusion, and there we got the win. I'm happy with that win. Oh, with that though, we can heal up our Pokemon, and we can go and get the Vulpix. You can get it in this grass just to the west of Lavender Town. And it's going to be a great asset to our team. Because we're not going to evolve it to a Ninetales, because Brock never did that in the anime, we can actually get the move Flamethrower. It's going to be in the high 30s, but we can still get Flamethrower, and that's a great move to be using in this generation. That means when we go off to Celadon City, we've got a couple of paths that we can go and take. I opted to go for the Rocket Path first, because we need to go and flush these guys out, and it probably will be an easier matchup against Giovanni. We can use Dig on Geodude, doing big damage on any ground and rock types. And of course, he puts himself into Rage, and we can learn the move Harden. Pretty much the exact same move as Defense Skill. I don't know why they gave 2 different types, like 2 of the same move to the same Pokemon line. It's kind of weird. But this is Gen 1, and of course, it's built a little different. That's the only way I can really describe it. It's built different this generation. Kangaskhan is out last, and it's locked into Rage. And it's also really increased its attack. We really need... Wow, Kangaskhan held on. That is not a good scenario. So we need to kind of use Geodude a lot more, really. My big mistake in the last attempt was actually just self-destructing on the Kangaskhan when we could have dealt a little bit more damage out. We are going to learn Harden over Defense Skill just because... Why not? It's the exact same move, but Harden sounds funnier. Anyway. When we get to the Kangaskhan again, we are going to use Rock Slide and deal big damage out. We can pick up Rock Slide TM in the Celadon department store. And we're trying to do as much damage as possible before falling, and then we'll switch straight into Onix and try and get as many body slams off as possible. He has locked himself into Rage, but because he has increased his attack very much, we can get enough hits in that we can win this fight. Now for the difficult one. Let's see how we do against Erica, and straight away Zubat gets taken down by Rap. And then Vulpix gets taken down by Rap as well. And then Onix gets taken down after a Razor Leaf. That just leaves Geodude to try and take it out, and you know what? It managed to take out the Victory Bell. That brings it into Tangela, and you know what? If Geodude can do this at this level and clutch a win after the rest of his team's fallen, I'll be very happy with that. But Tangela just decides to bind us, taking off over half our health with just binds. That I decide, you know, this just isn't worth it. Let's try this again. It's not the right Pokemon to be taking on that. So we start off with Vulpix this time, and again we get put into Rap Strats, and Vulpix has not made any contribution to the team thus far. We do get Poison, which means we can't be put to sleep now, but Rap Strats just take their toll, and it's time for us to switch. We need to keep Vulpix in. So when Zubat comes in, we'll try and use as many Leech Lives as possible and just let the Poison take its, well, the Burn take its toll. We can Fuse Ray on the Tangela and then switch into the Vulpix. because we're poison, we need we just do some damage and get a free switch, and you know, it just didn't work. But we can get Zubat back in, we can confuse, and then we'll try a little bit of Leech Life in to get some HP back. Zubat is probably the most versatile member of our entire team, just for the types that we can deal super effective damage out, and the fact we can actually recover a little bit of HP. Tangler will eventually go down, we just need to keep it confused, but we are at the level cap here, like we've moved our whole team up to the level cap, and that's not a good thing really, because we shouldn't, ideally with 4 members of our team, we should be able to do this a few levels below, but no, it's actually worrying me that we're already at the level cap again. Level cap now moves up to level 43 because we have 2 gym leaders to go against, and both of them have their races at level 43. Lavender Tower's rockets are no match for us. We are liberating Kanto from the hold of Team Rocket. Geodude with Rock Slide is a great asset to the team. It can take out it can pretty much one-shot a lot of things with Rock Slide. Not a Raticate though. That thing's a bit bulkier. When we can finally finish Lavender Tower, we have a couple of options of what we need to do next. We can either go straight over to Silph Co and see if we can beat the rival there, or we can go down to Fuchsia, and I opted for that. With having Dig on our moveset, it just made more sense to go for this. But if we went to Silph Co, we could have picked up the Earthquake TM to actually make this more viable. But Geodude and Onix Geodude will be learning Earthquake very, very soon. So it means that both Earthquake can be taught to Geodude and Onix in this run. And we'll see how we do against Koga. Now we are going at this one very underleveled, and that's a good thing because we want to try and conserve levels and keep our level low. And because we have Dig on our moveset, I'm not worried about this one whatsoever. Rock Slide can just chip away at them if they survive a Dig. The Muck is always a little bit annoying if it can get a Sludge off, but because we're digging under the ground, we never really have to worry too much. Now this is where it's a debatable decision of what I did. I decided to get rid of Dig for Earthquake. Now the reason why I prefer Earthquake to Dig is because Earthquake's a 100 power ground type move that isn't spread over 2 turns. Dig is spread over 2 turns and is a 100 power base move. So in hindsight it's only 50 power per turn, whereas Earthquake's 100 power per turn. That's the way that I look at it, and you know what? Either way, it doesn't matter. We still beat Koga first time, and I'm quite happy with that. That brings us over to Silph Co, where we can go and pick up the next Earthquake TM, and we will teach that straight away to Onix when we can. We have taught Toxic to Onix because, you know what? I've done a Toxic Onix on a couple of other runs, and you know what? It actually works. It's the same as using Eevee as a Toxic setter. It actually works, like in this generation. Anyway, when we go against a rival in Silph Co, this is a very hard fight to be thinking about. We can use Toxic against as many Pokemon as possible, and you know what? Onix is a great Pokemon to lead off in this fight. It can Toxic the Execute, and annoyingly when it does get Leech Seeded, it can get all the way to Alakazam before it falls. That brings us into Vulpix, who is probably the best person to take on the Alakazam. Not for the fact that it can do super effective damage, more the fact it can actually tank a hit. Geodude self-destructs before we bring in Zubat to clean up, but annoyingly Zubat just doesn't have the power at this point in the game to actually clean up as much as we wanted. So we need to try this again, but considering how close we got to beating the rival, I think it's possible at this level, so we're going to keep trying. Once we take the Pidgeot down, we're going to level 35, going against the Growlithe. Now I've actually switched into Geodude here because I was thinking, can we Badge Boost Glitch and deal out more damage and outspeed something here? But Geodude's speed is honestly pretty garbage. Probably not the best Pokemon to try and Badge Boost Glitch with, but we're going to give it a go in this fight. And then we get burnt, which kind of makes it all a bit redundant. So I decided we'll try and get a few Earthquakes off before we'll just self-destruct and take ourselves out. That means the next Pokemon out is going to be the Alakazam. So we go straight into Vulpix. And we're just going to go for the Confused Ray Double Edge. Double Edge is a great, powerful move. It does have a lot of recoil that is associated with it, but it was enough to work for this part of the battle. We've taught Rest to Vulpix of all things because it doesn't have any other moves that it can recover HP on. And I'm going to try and do as many of these future runs without relying on Mimic. When Vulpix is taken down, we can switch into Zubat, who has Mega Drain, and that, even though it doesn't do all too much damage, it's still enough to get us the win against this Blastoise. We recover quite a lot of HP, and finally, after a bit of back and forth, we get the win. I didn't think this team would actually beat the rival there, if I'm being completely honest. It's not a great team, they're just a not great Pokemon, and I don't know what Brock was thinking of not evolving any of these in the anime. Anyway, we can go against Giovanni, and he is not a problem whatsoever. Onix has got Earthquake, and even though it doesn't have the greatest attack, we can still sweep through his entire team with a level 36 Onix. 5 levels below his ace, and that is Saffron City liberated. We can then head on to the Psychic type gym, Sabrina, and we don't have the great matchup here. We kind of need to just hit hard and hit fast, which not really any of our team are designed to do. Kadabra will do a one-shot on Vulpix, and it does manage to get up at least a Confusion before it goes down. We need to rely heavily on Earthquake, and it's just not working for us in this. So yeah, Kadabra sweeps our entire team with Psychic. Great. Let's see how we do again. We'll level up a little bit more, and we now have Flamethrower to work with. Confusion actually works in our favour, and as long as we can get Double Edge off, we can try and rest up on the next turn. Double Slap gets us down to 2 HP, and we can get a couple of, well, at least one Flamethrower off before going into Geodude. Mr. Mime gets taken down by Earthquake, and that brings into Venomoth, where we're going to just try and get an Earthquake off because it's super effective against it. And Geodude's got all the way to the Alakazam. Can we beat Alakazam with an Explosion? No, we can't. It doesn't even one-shot. That is crazy. Explosion should, in my opinion, have one-shot it, but no. Either way, Onix comes in, cleans up, and we can progress on to Blaine, who, this should be a very easy matchup for us. We start off with our Vulpix, we Confuse Ray, and then we're going to go switching into Geodude. Just because they've got more super effective moves that we can work with. Earthquake is a one-shot on Growlithe. Is it a one-shot on Ponyta? Well, we'll figure that out after we've set up a couple of Hardens, because for some reason, all the Ponyta does is use Stomp. It tries to hit a Fire Spin, but it misses, then goes back to using Stomp. So level 38, we've badged through a little bit. Earthquake's now one-shotting this entire team, and Fire Blast does eventually take us down. That means we can bring in Onix, and we just go for the Toxic strats. As long as we can hold out, Toxic will do its work, and we can win this fight very, very comfortably. He tries with Vayne to use his Retroactive Super Potions, but it's not enough. Onix takes the win, and we get the 7th badge. Bringing the level cap up to level 50, and no higher than this. Which is kind of worrying because we are getting into those low level 40s, and the high level 30s. Let's just go see how we do against the last gym leader, and take our crown as the best gym leader. So, Geodude, once it's set up its Hardens, could sweep this entire fight with Earthquake. Once we've set them all up, we'll see how much damage we do. Earthquake will take out the Rhyhorn after a second one. Dugtrio. Okay, this confused me because I thought when you were using Dig, Earthquake can actually hit you. But apparently not. This brings us into Zubat, who is actually the perfect matchup for this Dugtrio because it's only got Slash to work with, but the majority of the time it uses its moves randomly. Vulpix then comes in and finally takes out the Dugtrio with Flamethrower. That brings us into Nidoqueen, and I'm going to switch into Onix because it's got a better type matchup against them. We want to keep that Vulpix for the final Rhydon because Fire will do alright against the Rock type. And that brings us into Nidoking there. We are paralysed, but we are dealing out decent damage. because we're a rock type and we've got very good bulk in our defenses, Thrash is not doing very much at all. Rhydon is out last, and as long as we outspeed... Wait, oh yeah, we were paralysed. That's why Fissure hits. Okay, it's all on Vulpix. Can this little Firefox do this? It does with Flamethrower, and we can get the final badge. Geodude tries to evolve, but of course we are not going to let it. And that brings us to the Pokemon League. But of course, before the Pokemon League, we have a very annoying trainer to go against, and that is, of course, the rival to the west of Viridian. And this is a difficult fight. This is a very difficult fight. We are going into this quite underleveled just to see whether we can do this and keep the levels that we need for the Pokemon League. We're going to try and badge boost glitch, set up our hardens before we even go for it. And of course, the Pidgeot in this fight will only go for agility against like the rock type Pokemon. We set up our full badge boost, and Rock Slide will not one-shot, which is not the greatest to start, I'll be honest. Earthquake can take out the Rhyhorn, and it will take out the Growlithe in one. The next Pokemon out is the Execute. Now, I just decided to go for Earthquake, and then I realised he's going for Solar Beam, so we had to take the L with an Explosion. That brings us into the Alakazam, and of course, if we can Toxic it, that's a great start, but Psybeam is a one-shot. Vulpix is out last, and we can get it confused before we try the Flamethrowers. But Psychic is just way too powerful, and Zubat cowers in the face of Alakazam's Psychic. So yeah, we had to level up a bit. We went up to level 43. And we actually started with Onix this time, because when that Execute comes in and tries to use Solar Beam, we've actually got a better type matchup to be using Toxic and then switching. So once we take down the Pidgeot, Rhyhorn comes out next, and we'll just Toxic it and Earthquake away. This is why I like Toxic on Onix. It can actually take a hit or two when it's not a super effective hit. But annoyingly, we actually we use Body Slam and we get the paralysis before we try to use Psychic. No, try to use Toxic, sorry. Alakazam goes down after getting paralysed. And you know what? Onix nearly swept this entire fight. We've managed to get a poison off, and it is now just a matter of time. We need to make sure we can just keep it confused. We can keep that poison damage ticking away, and Zubat is the best position to actually do this. We try and switch into Geodude and take the Skull Bash. And then we switch back into Zubat. No, we're actually not. We're going to try and use Fissure because we're just wasting time. But that gives us the win, and we actually do manage to do this before level 50. Let's see how we do against Lorelei, who is just the worst matchup for this entire team. Every single Pokemon she has is super effective against our team. We are very weak to water, we are very weak to ice. We have got no chance here. We actually do get a bit of luck against Dugong, and we try to set up a Harden before the burn will take it down. Aurora Beam is a one-shot on our Geodude, and that's not a good sign. So, yeah. The amount of times I tried this was unbelievable, and it got to the point where I just couldn't really do this at the level that we're at. But we're persistent in this attempt. Fire Blast will do bigger damage against the Dugong, but we kind of need to keep our Vulpix healthy. We won't be able to do that against the Cloyster, so as soon as we can get a Confusion off, we can Fire Blast, and hopefully we get very good luck against the Cloyster. Next up is Slowbro, and we are going to switch here into Zubat because with it having a Psychic type move, all it will do is use Amnesia against us, meaning we can chip away at it to try and take it down. It's just going to take a while. So we switch between Leech Life and Mega Drain, but neither one of them is doing very much damage. She will use a retroactive Super Potion very, very soon. But as long as we can just keep chipping away, this is an easy matchup for us. And level 45, it's just because we are so underleveled and Zubat is not very strong whatsoever. Yeah, it's just kind of annoying, this bit. We can start using Bite, which will do a little bit more damage because it's a 60 base power move compared to the 40 and 20 Leech Life. And finally, we can take down the Slowbro. That took a while, that. Next up is the Jinx, and of course the Vulpix is the best Pokemon for this, is why we had to keep a Fire Blast, but it doesn't outspeed and gets taken down to an Ice Punch. And this is where we are on the back foot because we really need Vulpix there. Zubat is weak to Ice type moves because it's a Flying type, and none of our Pokemon can outspeed this Jinx. It's a very fast Pokemon, and because of the AI, she knows that Ice will be super effective. So when I finally gave up and tried to do this, we had to go above the level cap, and this was the level that actually made it possible. Vulpix just sweeps through the entire team up until the Slowbro. We have now taught Mimic, and we are going for the Amnesia strats because, god damn it, we needed it. We never saw that Lapras until we got up to this level. So yeah, unfortunately this challenge is a failure because the amount of times that I tried it under level 50, it just never happened for me. So I'm deeming this as a failed run because we wanted to do this before level 50, the entire league. But no, Brock's team is just that bad that we cannot do it. So what level will we finish this at? I'm kind of annoyed that we've now done the Team Rocket run and the Brock run, and neither of them can do this under level 50. Whereas the Starters run that we did a few days ago actually can beat the game under level 50. So yeah, let's see how we do. Next out comes out the Jinx, we can take that down, and then we're into the Lapras just on our Vulpix alone. Because of the Amnesias, Water type attacks are not going to be doing anywhere near as much, and Fire Blast can get big damage out. We take our win for the first time against Lorelei, and we can progress on to Bruno. Now Bruno is not going to be a problem for this team whatsoever. Geodude and Onix will do big damage against it with Earthquake. So let's see how we do. Let's start off, and I've actually taught Fissure to Geodude, just because if we do badge boost a little bit, it's going to be funny to see a Fissure, really. That's literally the only reason why I've done it. If we can outspeed at any point, a one-hit KO move is more valuable than an explosion. So, let's see how we do. We take down the first two Pokemon very, very quickly, and this is probably going to be a Geodude sweep. Onix won't do too much against us. And finally, the final Machamp, unless it goes for submission, we are pretty golden in this. We can outspeed it, meaning Fissure will not hit us, and we get a very comfortable win against Bruno the first time. And Agatha as well is going to be pretty much the same. I am not worried for this fight whatsoever, unless we get put to sleep. Because Earthquake is super effective, and it can pretty much one-shot all of the ghosts, because they are Ghost Poison and weak to ground-type moves. Golbat is nearly a one-shot with Rock Slide, but as long as we can actually break through 3 confusions in a row, come on guys. Geodude is just, it's doing alright, 3 Pokemon down, and Arbok is out next. It does manage to paralyze us, and after a couple of yeah, we didn't have the greatest luck there against the Arbok, but we have another Pokemon with Earthquake. Granted, it's not anywhere near as powerful, but she switches into Gengar, meaning we can get a good Earthquake off, and we just need to survive a Nightshade to get Gengar down. That brings the Arbok back in, and it's just too little too late for Agatha. Onix and Geodude sweep her team, and we can progress on to Lance the Dragon Trainer. Now, which I mentioned earlier in the video, which Pokemon is absolutely perfect for this one. It is Little Zubat when you can get past the Gyarados. That's not a great start. Wow, I forgot how powerful this Gyarados is. Not one Pokemon can stand up to it. My whole team just got wiped by one-hit KO moves. Okay, how are we going to do this? Our next attempt, we got up to level 58, and we were trying for the paralysis on Gyarados to try and slow it down. Next up is going to be the Vulpix. We do manage to get a Confuse Ray off at level 60. We can outspeed that Gyarados. And that brings us into the Dragonair, which is perfect for our Zubat because now they will only use Psychic-type moves that cannot hit us. And we can just take our time to take them down. This is why Zubat is absolutely primed to take on the Dragon Trainer. 3 of his 5 Pokemon all use Psychic-type moves, meaning Zubat will not get hit whatsoever. When the Aerodactyl comes out, it is the biggest threat on his team now that the Gyarados has been taken down, so we can switch into Geodude who can tank all of its normal type moves. and Rock Slide will take it down. We can move them back into Dragonite. We can try and get a couple of Rock Slides off. And you know what? We just stayed in with Geodude. Geodude got the win. It's still an empty win because we have not adhered to the level 50 cap. But this is a bad team. Brock's anime team is actually pretty awful. And you can wail on me in the comments if you really want to, but yeah, this team is just awful. Like, what was he thinking with these? Once we have set up our badge boost glitch on the final rival, let's see how we do. Rock Slide will do decent damage out, and next of course is the Alakazam. We can tank a Psybeam after badge boost glitch, and Earthquake will take it out in one. Geodude then uses Earthquake, takes down the Rhydon, and then we're into the Arcanine. We're actually doing really, really well so far. But you've got to remember what's right in the back of his team. Yeah, we're going to really struggle against this Blastoise here because it now has Blizzard to work with as well. We switch into Vulpix and we're going to try and get Hypnosis. If we can get it to sleep and we can rest back up, we might be in a good position to actually do pretty well against him. So let's rest up while he's confused. And it actually works in our favour until Barrage comes back out. Then he stomps. We get him to sleep. We're going to rest up ourselves because we need to deal some damage out on this final Blastoise with Vulpix. Or at least get a Confuse Ray off so we can actually set up for the rest of our team. Fire Blast does decent damage and takes down the Executor with 2 hits. That brings into the Blastoise and we are hoping... Wow, Hydro Pump missed. We got him to sleep. We Confuse Rayed him. Let's Fire Blast our way through this. We've got only 2 more to work with. And if we can get another critical hit... Wow, Vulpix... a level 60 Vulpix just beat a Blastoise. It's still an empty win, but... I'm quite happy with how this run ended up. This team actually can beat the game, but it's just at a higher level than level 50, which is what we were aiming for. So yeah. Hope you're enjoying these anime team-based runs so far. I've not actually managed to do one to the level cap so far of 50. But tomorrow we will do another anime-based team run, and we will see how that one does, see if they can be a better trainer. If you got to this point in the video, guys, I would really, really, really appreciate a like and subscribe, or even sharing off to your friends, telling me about the channel. We'll see how we do and get more people joining. Smash that like and subscribe, you legends, and we will see you tomorrow for another challenge-based run. Take care.